Okay, the Columbia 109, back again. Back amongst the living. We have put it back together again, and everything's working like it should, and just testing the motor, reproducer, all that kind of stuff. Set the speed control, which actually turned out to have a small set screw. Just unloosen the set screw, you turn it to where you want it, and I have put it to that little mark there, right between slow and fast, which I assume is for 78 RPM. We'll see. Good enough, it's working. It is actually spinning at 78. What else do we do? The lid stay is back working once again. We have put a handle on there, which is only for show because it's a 100-year-old piece of leather. Don't be picking up on that. And of course, did look this up. The address, of course, is still there. I guess the building isn't, but I think it's a bank today or something like that in Switzerland. So this was a English-made Columbia phonograph made in the UK that made its way to Switzerland, where it ended up being sold at Mr. Weibel's shop, and somehow ended up in the USA. Who knows? It's well traveled, but it's actually in very good condition. The motor was no particular problem. It was just not even that dirty. The grease was liquidy on it, so to speak, and cleaned off easily. It was all replaced. No damage to anything. Everything's in good shape. Would expect no less from a garage motor. The reproducer has new tube gaskets in it. It has an aluminum diaphragm, but uses exhibition style tube gaskets inside. So those have been replaced. Other than that, it's typical mid-1920s Columbia. This is before the merger with HMV. So, the HMV would eventually make a machine very similar to this. And there would be a whole slew of different, similar but different reproducers that they would use later on. Stuff like that, even into the EMI era. But let's play a record, Lonely in a Crowd. That's Jacques Renard and the Coconut Grove. I probably played this before, but these are just test records, so. Lonely in a crowd. No auto stop on this one. And I have to change the needle. And we will spin up another one. Okay, there we go. Now this one at least does not have any horn elbow damage, or tone arm elbow I should say, because it's not a horn. This has a reflector horn, as I mentioned before, that's very similar to the idea that was used on the HMV. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, the HMV 100, that would be one of them, but I was thinking more on the Victor Victrola 50 style, where it simply reflects. How about we try the Green Arden Orchestra Marchetto Waltz? Don't know. Never played that one before. We'll find out if it plays any good. No idea what kind of music that is. We'll find that out too. Okay. Oh, I forgot to wind it, didn't I? It's kind of a cold day in here, so this is a front crank. Move that to the front of the little stump here, so I don't bash my fingers while I'm doing it. It's a very small winding handle, but actually winds very easily. And I would put its spring power as equivalent to the HMVs, HMV portables. That came a little later, the 100. Actually, this is contemporary to the 100. And the very earliest 101s. There you go. Now we'll spin another one. Why not? That's what we're here for today. Testing machines. You might have... Let's see, 1926, that was past the time when Victor was selling the Victor Victrola 50 or the Victor Victrola 35. They had a whole slew of small portables available by 1926, and there was, of course, the Victor Victrola 260, which was much larger than this, but and with a much more elaborate horn. But still, this is a very good sounding machine for what you would think of as a very simple horn. Yeah, just a reflector, a little wooden dish in there reflecting the sound back at you. I just played Lonely in the Crowd. Let's see, we'll try Rockabye Baby, the Joseph. Oh! Huh. Well, that's no good. That record fell apart. Oh well. Yeah, I'll show you what happened here. Look at this. That one was cracked. That's no good. Okay, that's a wall hanger. Maybe we'll just flip this one over and see what's on the other side. Roses of Picardy. It's a well-known one. Well, that's why we test records. Stuff like that does happen when you buy large stacks of them. Too bad it wasn't just a crack. Just a crack, you can still play it. But when a big chunk falls off, yeah, that's pretty much the end. Okay, let's get it warmed up. You hear noise in the background, that is sleet hitting the roof. It was supposed to rain today, but I guess they canceled that and decided it's going to sleet instead. I guess that's still a little bit better than snow. Of course, they both lead to ice, which means I could fall down and go boom if I'm not careful. You don't want to do that again. Well, that sounded pretty good. Let's see. I think there's enough room on this recording for one more. Let's see, we already did Lonely in the Crowd. Might as well flip it over and do the other side, which is Beneath Venetian Skies, which I'm sure I've played before, but I will simply play it again. So far, everything's working fine. Nothing's shook loose. That's what we like. But when you work with high-quality machines, that's what you expect. I mean, they're a lot easier to deal with when it comes to fixing them than something of low quality that is, you know, uses a lot of low-quality parts and such. Now, I know this does use that pot metal tone arm, as some people would say, oh, pot metal, cheap, you know. But you remember, this was 1926. That was actually a new style of metal. They didn't know what it was going to do in 50, 60, 100 years. They had no idea. They were trying to make the machine lightweight and easy to carry, and that seemed like the ideal solution. You know, and they only used it, really, in that arm in there. They didn't use it in the tone arm itself or the reproducer. So, you know, they would later on. They would later on. But again, they were looking for lightweight materials to make things, one, easy to manufacture, and two, on a portable, easy to carry. So they weren't really looking to, let's just, you know, this is so cheap to make, let's find a cheaper way to make it, and who cares what happens in 100 years. Well, they wouldn't have said 100 years. Nothing would have happened in 10 years or 20. It's just now that we have these problems. And with like the Victors with their tone arm supports, and Columbia USA used a lot of pot metal in their machines, portables especially, in the motors and the tone arms. There was a lot in there, and that really does complicate things today. But they weren't thinking a century in the future when they made them. They weren't doing it deliberately. They were just looking for a way to make a light machine and to simplify the manufacturing process to make prices lower. So, luckily, this machine does not have pot metal issues, unlike the 202, which has lots of them. go. The 109 lives again. And that over there is an HMV 100. That is going to be the next project. Needs cleaning and servicing. Looks black, don't it? It's not. It's actually blue. The dead giveaway on the colored machines? Nickel-plated corner protectors. Okay, but that's it for the 109. We're all done.